And joining us now is former Los Angeles Police Chief Bill Bratton. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to be back. Thank you.
What a strange story. Because of all places, I mean, Beverly Hills, there are very few murders, usually maybe one a year, right? I mean, it's an unusual place for a murder to take place.
It's about the average. This has all the makings of a classic Hollywood whodunit. Lieutenant Columbo, this would be the type of scenario you see in that old TV show.
Right. I mean, she's on this kind of cross street that goes right across Beverly Hills. She's gunned down, multiple shots, close range. If you were just come upon this, what would the several scenarios come to mind in terms of what could you possibly trace this back?
Well, you start with the blank slate, and the scenarios are Los Angeles, possible gang drive-by, Beverly Hills, very unlikely, road rage, very potentially likely in a lot of those incidents in California and Los Angeles.
Right.
Crime of passion, somebody who knew her. They have not determined, to the best of my knowledge, as to whether there was possibly somebody else in the car.
Right.
Fourth could be the idea of an unintended consequence, that she was killed and they were looking for somebody else.
Yeah. It seems to me, and not, knowing so as little as we do, this feels, it has that Hollywood feel from the standpoint of so many movies have been done and stories told about gangs and whatnot. Could it be one of those situations where we want you, here's this random person, go kill this random person? Is that a possibility?
Well, that's one of the scenarios that I laid out. In Beverly Hills, much less likely than elsewhere in the Los Angeles region, where drive-bys, the gang drive-by basically was born in Los Angeles. But Beverly Hills just doesn't have that type of shooting. A road rage, a much more likely type of event. The street she was killed on, I'm very familiar with. It's a well-known shortcut from Wilshire up to Sunset. And what they'll be doing is literally from where she left, the event that she was at, they will look at every potential camera along that road,
right,
to determine, was she caught at all? Did she have an altercation somewhere along the line?
Right. We get more and more familiar every day with the surveillance cameras kind of popping up everywhere. Is that a place that typically would have maybe even, some sort of coverage? Well,
you have red light cameras, in terms of you have cameras in the vicinity of stores. You have, that's a high security neighborhood.
Right.
Everybody has some type of security on their
system,
property.
Sure, there. Right.
So literally from where she left the Grumman Theater, that they will try to trace every potential camera along the route they believe she took.
Now, one of the other parts of the story is they immediately went and they confiscated all of her computer files. Because if she had enemies, theoretically, they would pop up someplace electronically.
That's right. That's basic policing 101. You gather as much as you can. In this day and age, fortunately, you have a lot to gather. Computers at home, computers in the office, phone records. I think there was one report of a message that she had left for herself, reminders of things to do the next day. So they'll have a lot to work with in the sense of her own records.
All right. Bill Bratton, pleasure to see you. Thanks very much.
Nice to be with you also. Thank you.
Really appreciate the insight.